Your script might be great, but if your query letter doesn't grab attention, no one will ever read it. So, how do you write a query letter that gets responses? I know I mentioned this in a few videos back, but the first thing again, you need to be able to understand who you are as a writer. And this is kind of your brand, your voice, where you fit, what you're looking for, your career paths. I've been struggling with this because as much as I like to say I love writing the horror genre, the psychological thrillers, sci-fi, some of those kind of that area, I also like writing the holiday comedies. And sometimes just if a story grabs my attention, I've written dramas. So I've been struggling trying to find managers that cover all of that. But that can be good because now I can be able to write my query letter and really kind of form the unique brand of who I am as, Greg is this writer that is in touch with storytelling. And so you've got to, again, be able to answer your brand, your career path, where you want to go. Managers really look for that and being able to identify who you are as a writer. So I'm going to do something a little different here. I am going to show 3 examples of query letters. First one being a poorly written one. Second being an okay, something that probably would communicate but not really set yourself apart. And then the third one trying to really, stand out and hopefully get responses. So this first one, again, you want to start off with a strong subject line, something that's going to stand out. But for this one, we can see I chose to write Hollywood's next blockbuster. You don't want to miss this. Right. And then, dear agent, manager, whomever will read this, I have written the greatest screenplay of all time. It's like Inception meets Titanic, but way better. My script, The Time Traveler's Cat, is destined to win an Oscar, and I need your help to make it happen. I'm a self-taught genius who's been writing scripts for years, but this is my first full-length screenplay. I just know this is the one that will change the industry forever. Call me at your earliest convenience and we can discuss my vision. Can't wait to work together. Sincerely, and then your name. So this one was I don't want to say, yeah, we're going to say just bad. And the reasons that it's bad that you can kind of see when I'm reading this is, well, why is it terrible? And what are the immediate red flags? Is overhyped. There's the arrogant tone. When I kind of wrote in their greatest screenplay of all time, that's subjective. That's hard. You don't want to kind of state out that. There's no real log line. That's another big thing. Doesn't explain what the story's about. I think I just said the title in there, which I made this up. This is not a real story. I kind of just played around and did something here. And then the unclear industry experience. I think I wrote in this, I'm a self-taught genius. That's not a credential. That's not a way to kind of give myself credibility to say where I sit within the screenplay industry. And then there's no clear call to action beyond just call me. So the second one I'm going to do, and this, like I said, is kind of stepping up into the okay query letter. And we're going to start off with a subject that just says, The Time Traveler's Cat, a sci-fi adventure feature. Dear manager's name, I am a screenwriter with a passion for sci-fi, and I love for you to consider my feature screenplay, The Time Traveler's Cat. Logline, when a down on his luck scientist accidentally sends his cat through time, he must race against a shadowy government agency to retrieve his feline friend before history is rewritten. I've been writing screenplays for several years and recently placed as a finalist in, and this is where you could use a screenplay competition. I'm looking for representation to take my career to the next level and believe this project aligns with your expertise. Would you be open to reading my script? Thank you for your time and consideration. Best, and concluding with my name. So that one, if we look at what works, is it's professional, it's polite, it includes a log line, and mentions some credentials with the kind of experience with or ranking or final placing in a screenplay competition. Now, what's missing? The logline is decent, but could definitely be better. Could definitely be improved and rewritten. The writer, as I kind of myself, doesn't explain why they're reaching out to this manager specifically. Again, I said you want to find and research managers that fit you, that that you can kind of find out who they've represented, what writers have gotten work from underneath their kind of management, and that can kind of help you say, yeah, we fit. And then there's no strong hook or unique selling point on the script. Let's do the third one. This is kind of my final one to say. I don't want to say great, but definitely a better improved one that you could probably look for. So subject, the time traveler's cat, sci-fi adventure feature. Dear manager's name, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I admire the work that you've done with this screenwriter or this project and believe my sci-fi adventure feature, The Time Traveler's Cat, may be a great fit for your roster. The logline is, a failed scientist's great invention backfires when he accidentally sends his pet cat through time, straight into the hands of a shadowy government agency. Now he must navigate history's most dangerous moments and bring his feline friend home before the future is rewritten forever. Now, this script recently placed as a finalist in the screenwriting competition and has been praised for its high concept, premise, and comedic heart. My background in the industry, experience, relevant skills is where you would put yours, has shaped my ability to craft stories with strong character arcs and marketable premises. I'd love to send you the full script or discuss how we might collaborate. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Best. Now, why this, I would say, is definitely a improved or probably a stronger one. Maybe not great. Definitely could look for rooms of improvement, but working on the fly here. It's personalized. It mentions the manager's past work or the writer and why you're reaching out. It has a stronger hook, I think. The logline is clear, engaging, and marketable. Again, this is not a film, but I really would love to see someone write this if you want to. I just came up with something because, the internet loves cats, so why not? Credibility mentions the screenwriter's competition placement, and then the professional and concise gets to the point without unnecessary fluff. So going back through the query kind of key moments you want to think about is a strong subject headline. You want a personalized greeting. You shouldn't say to whom it may concern. You're reaching out to an individual that you've done the research and found, who they are, who they represent, and you should know something about them. So you're reaching out to them. The compelling hook. So a log line and getting them interested in the story that you want them to read. That's where I've been struggling because I've been working through different stories and I'm like, well, maybe this one's ready. No, I want to do this one. But you want to make sure that you have a strong log line and hook for that, being able to kind of grab their attention. Some people put this, you don't always have to. I don't think I had it in the examples above, but a brief synopsis of your story. So outside of the log line, if you want to go into a little more depth about whether, where you came up with the concept, but just something a story. But again, don't do fluff because you don't want to bore them. You want to get straight to the point. Your credentials and background. This is where I've been struggling because if you're someone that's not been in the industry, you've not entered into competitions, that's something that I definitely am going to kind of talk about in future videos. But it's like, where do you put your credentials, your credibility? If you've been writing for so many years, but you've never sold anything, why? I think that's kind of something I've been looking at. Even though I teach and went to school for all this, I've been holding off on a lot of my scripts because I want to direct them. Well, I finally got to a point I'm like, well, maybe it's not meant for me to direct. Maybe I can sell some and just write and get my kind of career started there. That's something I'm going to address and communicate within my letter. And then again, just overall being professional, being clear, being concise, being polite, not too, as that first one had, was very arrogant and kind of cocky. You don't want that. So researching and targeting the right managers, this is kind of where I talked about, it does matter. The right people matter, not just sending it to the elite of the elite. It's researching and trying to find out, well, what managers are out there and who do they represent, or what writing styles or genres. And you can use the sources. I've already said this, IMDb Pro. You can follow, through different online, groups, social media, Stage 32. There's just so many different sources out there that you can probably reach out to. Again, we live in a great time that there's just so much out there, so shouldn't hold you back, but you just got to do the research. Personalizing the pitch, connecting with them, talking about why you like kind of what they do as managers or representation. And then the common mistakes to avoid, as I sometimes do in talking in these videos, is keeping it short. 300 words, 1 page, shouldn't roll over, shouldn't be too much. Like if you have to write it on a Word document, keep it short. Don't be too vague or generic, but then don't be, sending mass emails that aren't personalized. That's some things you want to kind of avoid. So what happens after you receive responses or don't? Be prepared to not only send that script if they're interested, so it better be polished and ready because this is your one shot, or if they say, what else do you have? Having others ready, or at least communicating, saying like, I'm working on this one, but I'm in draft form or whatever it is. Yeah, being ready for that. The next one, and I'm going to talk about a little more in depth on this in the future video, but handling rejection. Whether they respond and they're polite enough to say, we're not interested at this time, that's very nice of them to at least respond and not leave you hanging. But if they don't respond and now you're just kind of left in the dark, that can happen. So how do you deal with rejection? And then following up professionally, being able to, I think if you haven't heard back in 3 to 4 weeks, you can politely kind of follow up, but do it effectively. So with this video, we've been talking about how a strong query letter can really be the difference maker to get your work out there and get noticed. Love to find out, as many of us writers are bad at pitching ourselves. So what do you struggle with in terms of when it comes to pitching who you are as a writer and talking about your strengths, or even talking with your fellow writing friends of where your weaknesses are and how you can improve. But again, hopefully this has been helpful. We're going to talk in the future about when you do either hear back from a manager or representation, how to follow up with that and what that looks like. But as always, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and please comment. I would love to kind of get feedback to see what you all would like to hear more about. And as always, keep on writing.